Hello everybody and welcome to Jeff the Pharmacist. So as you know, pharmacy is famously boring, or as maybe you thought pharmacy is famously boring. Maybe pharmacists make a lot of money, or you think they make a lot of money, but it's boring as hell. I had a guy come up to me and he was like, a young guy, he was like, "You're a pharmacist in a grocery store?" And he was like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Geez, man, I was having a good day." So a lot of strange things happen. I've had situations where you have to like try to find a doctor, but you're also kind of running the pharmacy. I had a really weird prescription where a lady had to take a full bottle of 30 tablets of, actually more than a full bottle, 30 tablets of 32 milligram methylprednisolone. It's like the highest strength steroid. And I was completely baffled by it. I had never seen that before. Doctor said it was fine on the prescription. I called back, the doctor was like, "Yeah, it's fine, it's no big deal." And I called my colleagues and they were all like, they made a big deal out of it. And then I had my supervisor was looking, trying to check and see if it was okay to fill that prescription, because I really didn't know what to do. So I kind of used my network a little bit, and it turned out fine. We did dispense the medication, but these things you have to deal with, and you might have somebody like come up to you and they want you to show them where, you know, where cough medicine is, or where you know, the frozen pizza is, or whatever. So one time in my old job, a guy walks up. And he kind of had that look where he looked like he had been jumping around from pharmacy to pharmacy. People look a little annoyed when they go to a lot of different pharmacies, if you can imagine. It's like waiting in line at the post office or something. Nobody wants to do it. So he looked like he'd been jumping around from pharmacy to pharmacy. My manager said to me, oxycodone 30 milligrams, number 120, which is obviously a Control 2 substance. It's narcotic, and I just thought that was funny. And then it turns out that's exactly what the prescription was. And then she was like, "It looks a little weird, so I'm gonna call the doctor." And she calls the doctor, and the doctor was like, or the doctor's agent, secretary, or whatever, was like, "Don't fill that, it's fake, call the police." And we're like, oh god. So we had to reach out to the narcotics detective, and they sent sheriff's deputies over, and the guy ran away, and there was like a chase, and it was a big mess. You can imagine, like, at the same time you still have to like answer questions from customers and keep the business going while all this like weird stuff is going on. And the scary too, and you know, we don't really want to be involved in anybody's like in any of that, but it kind of will thrust itself onto you once in a while. So cooperating with like the police and helping them catch somebody who's passing fake prescriptions can be a little bit awkward. You can imagine somebody drops off a prescription, you have to verify it. You verify it, turns out that it's fake. There are certain ways that we can verify our prescription to get around fraud. Like, I'm not gonna say what it is, but there's ways to like see really if it is a real prescription. So we can use our clinical knowledge to find out if it's real or not, or there's a lot of red flags on prescriptions, so don't fake prescriptions. So we had a customer, and she called about 10 times to see if the product was ready, and we found out it was fake. We called the detective, and the detective told us to let her come in and find out when she's coming in so he can be ready. And she called like 10 times to see if it's ready. So the detective's like, so I called the detective, I'm like, "She's here, what the hell am I supposed to do?" And he's like, "Oh, just do what you guys always do. You always delay people. Like, you pretend you gotta shuffle around with insurance or whatever." And I'm like, okay, great. Like, this lady was like, asked me about 10 times if it was ready, and I told her like 10 separate times. So I was like, "Oh, I have to just rebill it or something." And she's like, "What?" And then you know, 20 minutes later the cop shows up. But I mean, really it wasn't that long, but it just feels like a long time. It's very awkward to like pretend to do something. It's a lot easier to actually do it. maybe that's what I should do, is just actually like rebill something. But it worked out okay. But you know, and then we get letters from the state's attorney for months afterwards. And another kind of odd thing that occurs in the pharmacy is that we will kind of serve as the store's like medical officer, and we don't have any official emergency medical training besides CPR. So I mean, we obviously just know from the little experience we have with it is like if somebody has a cut, you're supposed to put pressure on it, you know, can obviously bandage it. You know, we're not doing emergency tracheotomies and anything that you see on the television, or even what they'll do, and we're not doing anything too fancy. So, but a lot of times people will cut themselves while they're in the store, or they'll hit themselves on the head, or there'll be seizures, and they'll always call us, and it's a bit awkward because we don't really have that kind of training, so we're just like improvising a lot. So it is a bit weird. You can imagine some lady is like bleeding really bad, and you have to figure out, you know, of course, so we'll have to wrap up the wound and put pressure on it and everything, and it's kind of weird to do that in the middle of your, you know, when customers are waiting at the counter, or if they're waiting to ask you a question and you're wrapping a bandage. And I've had other pharmacists say, while they're helping somebody who's having like a seizure, tap them on the shoulder like, hey, can I get my prescription? So I mean, people can definitely be insensitive when you have to run out really quickly. So I hope you all found this this video interesting. Please give me a thumbs up if you did. Please subscribe, it would be great to have you. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks a lot.